Welcome to the Crafty Milling, and in this one this is going to be an ongoing project as I'm working on a little diorama piece for a customer, and it's basically the Lord of the Rings Fellowship. Starting off today with Boromir, so these videos will be sort of interspersed between other stuff as I'm working through on this project. I won't be filming all of them, I don't think, but yeah, these are anyway onto the actual miniatures themselves. So this is from a company called Warp Miniatures, and it's the Fellowship of the Golden Band that they're known as. Got them from Bristol 5 Games on Etsy. Really good high quality resin with little to no cleanup, which was really nice. And they're sort of like almost like a moonstone sort of style, a bit cartoony, as opposed to like the GW stuff, and the bit more exaggerated features and things. And look like they're, you know, when I got given the commission, it was, yeah, these look fun to paint, and then coming to actually painting them now, and they really are fun. There's a different sort of style. You can be a bit more free with it. There's less of all the finicky little details and things, and you can just sort of express yourself a bit more on the miniature. So this video is going to be going through showing how I painted Boromir, and we'll go from there. So starting off really simple, blocking out all the base colours. I'm going to do a video probably come out after this, where I've got a larger scale miniature, and I'm going to, just so you can see close up the painting process that I do on 28mm scale, and you can, just so it reads better on the eyes, you can follow it a lot easier. But it's effectively just blocking out all the colours, nice simple wash, and then building up opacity on the layers, adding a few extra highlights just to make them stand out a bit more. So initially it's the cape, gets a nice grey overall, and then Boromir's tunic has got this nice deep red. So I've just got a bit of brown mixed in with the some red, and I'm going to build up the opacity on the layers on those. Now for all the little bit extra details like the boots, the little bit of cloth of the trousers that are showing, the sort of fur lining he's got on the top of his cloak, all these are going to be with various mixes of browns that I'm actually mixing on the palette using the base colours that I've already got on there. So the skin tone, the grey, the red that I'm using on the tunic, just mixing these, going back and forth, so I've just got enough variation. And again, it's the idea is that all the colours will match together, makes it really simple, and everything sort of blends as one. And just, yeah, really simple paint job, but it'll make it pop a little bit more as we get to the final stages. Now on this particular Boromir miniature, he's got little bits of armour, so his braces, he's got some shoulder pads, and then it's like the little bits of trim on the sword and the shield and things. So for the majority of these I'm going to use a dark silver, and then the blade itself will be a much brighter silver, just so you got a nice bit of contrast. And then the only other metallic that will be slightly different is he's got a little bit of some detail on the collar of his cloak, and just around the horn we'll pick out with a little bit of gold. But I'm trying to keep it very, very simple, not using too many colours, just so we can get everything, it'll all marry together a bit better at the end. And again, same as we did with the pouches, the belts, the boots and things, and these gloves, just mixing up different shades of brown, adding bits of grey and things, and we're just going to block out all of his hair, just to get all that onto a nice neat sort of layer before we do the skin, because the features, you'll see more at the end, the features on these, as I say, are very exaggerated, and they've got quite deep set eyes. And so I want to make sure that the skin tone goes on properly, so basically painting everything around it first, so the face I can take my time and be really neat with it. And you can see all those colours are starting to marry together a bit now, so different variations on the brown. The red tunic is like the main focal point, and we're just going to pick up all the brighter colours now. So there's a few little gold trims, little extra details, but I want to keep Boromir very muted. He's the character in the book. He's he's an experienced soldier, not much in the way of sort of fancy filigree and things. And same as on this miniature as well. It's very simple, it's very basic, and it's actually a lot more fun to paint. The horn, nice simple light warm grey, and again all this will be washed down later. Same with the flesh and the gloves. I'm just going to give one unifying wash over the whole thing. Right, so this is the wash part. So all the base colours have been blocked out now. and the whole miniature is going to get a unifying wash. This particular one is something I've made myself. It's Agrax Earth Shade and Seraphim Sepia and a little bit of Norn Oil just to darken it slightly, and it goes on quite mucky. It dulls everything down a little bit, which I quite like, because when we build up the layers on the next step, everything sort of basically pops a bit more because of that contrast. So a really simple step. As I said, the first part of the video, just a case showing you block out the colours, get the wash on, let it dry, and then we go from there. Right, so at this point the wash is pretty much dry. It does leave a slight sheen, which is something we can fix now with the preceding steps, and it's just a case now going back to those original base colours and building up highlights and just taking your time with it. Water it down slightly and just keep adding layers, be as neat as you can, and just take your time. All I'm doing is I'm hitting out all the little things like the folds on the cloaks, especially because the sculpt of this miniature has got a lot of flowing fabric, which is really nice to pick out all those little bits of detail. And it's just a case of going around any raised areas, anything that's upward facing would get the maximum highlight, and just taking time with each individual colour until you get to a point that everything's highlighted once. So if you think you've got your original base coat, the wash, everything's highlighted with the base coat again, and then all we do is I add a little bit of a lighter colour with each of the main colours to do an extra highlight at the very end, just picking out the tiniest of details. And at this sort of scale, it just makes everything pop a little bit more, gives it a bit more contrast. And it's little things like keeping the colour of the palette, and you know, the greys in this case mixed with the reds is a really nice contrast. And then the sharpness of the silver and the white of the horn just makes it pop a little bit more. When you first put on your highlights, like here with the grey, it goes on quite stark, but it will dry a little bit darker as well. So exact same process with the skin, going back to the original base colour. Now this does vary depending on the miniature. So with these, as you'll see there at the end, they've got these over exaggerated features. So all I'm really doing is just dabbing a little dot of paint on the bridge of the nose, tip of the nose, the forehead and the eyebrows, and a little bit of the cheeks that are showing. If the miniature's got bare hands, obviously they'll get a highlight as well, or fingers and things. But it's actually, because of the style of this miniature, it's really easy to paint, and you're just picking out lines, and it's enough to give a bit of contrast. Now here, this is something I've started doing for 28mm scale, and I'm finding it helps wonders, absolute wonders. A 0.05 fine liner for the eyes, and just dot them, and it sits in, it makes it pop, gives it that extra bit of character, and it's not fiddly. You're not having to worry with the paintbrush and flicking and making a mess and things. And at this point, he's pretty much done for this scale. If I wanted to, you know, put a bit more detail and things, I would spend a bit more time. But for what the customer wants and the level of detail that's on the miniature, it's enough there's enough contrast and colour difference there, and it does pop when you see the final results. All I'm doing is I'm just adding, like I mentioned earlier, that little bit of extra red mixed in with the tunic colour, just to make that pop, because that's his main accent colour that I want. And I'll do the same with the grey as well. I'll add a little bit more light grey just to hit those finer edges on the cloak and things. And here he's all finished, so you should be able to see here all the little gradients in the colours, especially on the tunic and the cloak. The little fur area is still drying when I was actually filming this, so just bear that in mind. But again, the flesh pops, and you can see the sort of exaggerated features on him. With the future models as well, you'll probably notice a bit more. And on the close-ups, it's a really simple paint job. You know, it adds enough texture and visual interest without being too difficult to paint. As I said, there's going to be a video where I do this process on a bigger miniature. While the end result won't be as good, but you can at least see the process in a lot more detail. These Lord of the Rings miniatures will be an ongoing project, and so hopefully we'll see you around for the future episodes as well, where I paint some more of the Fellowship. But thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.